Welcome to the Leadership Table, where real conversations with real leaders happen. I'm your host, Dr. Kevin Hairston, and today we are sitting down with a remarkable entrepreneur who's transforming her community one style at a time. Karen Hill is the owner and founder of Synergi Hair Salon, a thriving business in the beauty area that not only is it not just about hair, it's about healing, hope, and hustle. Karen Hill, welcome to the Leadership Table.
Welcome. Glad to be here.
Karen, you've been in the hair salon business for quite some time. What motivated you to move from hairstylist to salon owner?
I don't know how to do nothing else. I didn't want to go to college. I didn't want to get a job. I like my job. I love what I did. So I just had to keep going at what I was doing. And the only way I could keep going is by, bringing in others, mentoring, growing the business. Because that's the one thing about hair, right? It's like, it's always going to be here. So even if you're not doing hair, there's still some entrepreneurial business side of it, products, hair, training, all that. So I had to keep going.
So when you talk about products, when people think about the hair business, quite naturally, especially the African-American woman, we tend to think about maybe perhaps just some simplistic type of styles, but you mentioned products. You mentioned a whole nother part of the game. What's that like actually diving past that?
Well, because I was not that smart when I got into it. Mm-hmm. And then it just started growing beyond me. And then I had to dig deeper. Deeper. But ultimately, when they leave, women are product junkies. Mm-hmm. It's my job. They're going to go feed that habit somewhere. So let's just get it all right now.
Now, and here's me, Ken. I got two women. I got a wife. I got a daughter. And just being around them, it's like almost being a student in the hair business, because I watch them in terms of not just their creative styles, but I watch them in terms of their enthusiasm about getting the hair done. What's motivated you to say, hey, this is something that I saw as a long-term investment, not just something that was short-term in order to get me through
it? Meeting the customer's needs. Mm-hmm. Just listening to the customer, what they're asking, what they need. Really in the business, the business is the school itself. All you got to do is listen. Mm-hmm. And tap into, they all speak the same language. And then when the language changed, you got to change too. So when everybody leaves, everybody wants to wash their hair. They want to. Mm-hmm. But they end up leaving, and they're like, you can go to Target at any time, and you can look. Mm-hmm. Somebody's picking up a bottle, and they're looking like, what is this? Now, how much better if you were to buy that from somebody that you knew, especially as a customer, okay, this is what I use on you. This is what I recommend. Duh. It makes so much sense. It makes sense to me. Why wouldn't they buy it? And they do.
Right. Well, one of the things I've noticed too is that, especially being an African-American woman, opening up your own business, had there ever been any type of challenges? You deal with personalities in terms of clients. You deal with personalities in terms of your staff, your vendors. What type of challenges have you faced as a business owner?
Uh-huh. Well, let's start with just me going ahead of God. That's what I'll call it. Mm-hmm. I had a little Sarah in me. I saw the vision. God showed me the vision, and he was taking a little too long, so I jumped out ahead of him. Mm-hmm. And so in that process, I had to learn things the hard way. I had to learn it as I came along. I had to grow into it. So the challenges could be, staff, employees, taxes. Mm-hmm. Took a long time for me to understand, because I think in the beginning, the challenges came from me not believing enough in myself, of what I did not know. And I leaned more on other people. And I just gave them, and it's not that I really don't think that they came to hurt or harm me. I just think that I didn't have enough in me to say, I don't think this is right, or even to stand up and say, I can do better. I just trusted, like, accountants, attorneys, whatever, trusted that they knew what was best. And it got me in a lot of trouble because I didn't stand up and say, hold on, what's going on? Does that make sense?
No, it makes real sense, because one of the conversations, Karen, that I have with other community leaders or for-profit leaders, and we always have this kind of back and forth as to whether or not leadership is born or that you evolve as a leader. And so my question is that you as a business owner, was it natural from the very beginning, or was it something that you felt like, wow, I've been in the game this long, I've watched my leadership evolve over a period of time?
I mean, it must have been a little bit of both. I never had a job, so I don't know what to, like, compare it to. I never worked. I worked at McDonald's one time and I got fired for $3.52. So after that, I started working for myself, and I don't know no better.
So there was something inside of you that was really much birthed as a leader because you had this entrepreneurship type of spirit within inside of you.
It did just, to me, it just looked like the job. So, I mean, only now, as I got older, I look back and see, different paths people take. But to me, I was doing hair. And then I wanted to do more hair, so I hired more people to help me do more hair. And then I had to figure out how to keep people to help me do more hair. So I had to learn how to talk to people, how to hire people, So to me, it just all started with just hair.
But you know what? The way you're describing it, and I think it's fascinating the way you're describing it, because I would only imagine, Karen, that some people would almost suggest to say, hey, you've been called to do this for whatever reason, whether or not it's hair, maybe perhaps it was purposeful inside of your faith that led you this way, because it sounded as if, McDonald's wasn't you, but there was something inside of you that said, I wanted to birth out this thing that I love the most inside of me.
Well, my father was an entrepreneur. So honestly, that's all I knew. And, I grew up in the funeral home, literally, not going to the funeral home. Like, I literally grew up in the funeral home. So I understood the long days, what came with, there was nothing. I literally, outside of my father, I never even seen a man have a job. So I didn't know what a job.
Well, most people would probably also say that what gave them inspiration was some of the people inside of their lives. And so my question would be, is there people such as your dad who inspired you in terms of, hey, these are the people that I look to?
I don't think it wasn't a choice. It wasn't a choice. It wasn't even a decision. Like, my father said, you should work for yourself. And then that was it. And then it was about, finding what that was. Because then school didn't really hit with me really that good. I didn't like it. And I look back and I just think I just didn't apply, or I just didn't have, nobody said go to college. That wasn't on my list. Nobody was like, go to college and do this and this. That wasn't laid out for me.
So if you were given the commencement speech to some high school students, let's say it's 2025, or maybe perhaps even next year it's 2026, what would that speech entail? Would you encourage young people to say, hey, maybe perhaps college not for you, or maybe perhaps college is for you, but given your track, how would you inspire that group?
I would say, no matter which way you decide to go, even if you decide to work, if you decide to go to college, if you decide to work for yourself, you're going to have some hard struggles. It's going to cost you a lot. And you're going to work hard to get through it. It doesn't matter. Like, you could be an entrepreneur, but to me, I compare myself to people with jobs. I'm like, you got benefits. You got retirement. You got, some little safety and security. You could sleep. You could get vacation. There's a lot on me that looks at somebody with a job that's like, I'm jealous. Like, why I didn't go that way? So I think you have to, I don't even think you should follow your heart. I think you should follow, I think you should follow what God puts in front of you, and you should like just move. You need to trust the whole process, even if it's not giving nothing. Because a lot of people think because you're here, you're not doing nothing, or you don't seem to be thriving. You need to work on whatever it is in that system or wherever you are to like. I'm not saying manifest, but there's some things on certain levels because I don't think everybody's meant to be like prosperous. Doing I don't think that's for everybody.
Right.
I think society has put that on everybody to put this pressure that we gotta be like the best of the best. Like why can we? Well, I don't, yeah, that is a big regret of mine.
Do you think that, as you're talking about, society has a certain type of perspective, do you think that even in the role that you play as a business owner comes with a level of expectation? Do people expect a certain level of leadership out of you because of the role that you play?
For sure. For sure. And the leadership comes from just on the back end, like a lot of humility. They expect out of me what they do not expect out of themselves, for real. They expect me to, like if they have a problem, they want to come to me and blah, blah, blah. But if I got a problem with you, trust me, if I got a problem with you, then I have to like really go inward and make sure, because I could get in a lot of trouble for telling you how I feel about this or that or this or that. So there's a lot of work on the back end for a leader to, kind of bring in some of the, I don't know, some of your opinions, your emotions. There's a lot of restraining that you have to do on so many levels. And I do believe that the higher that it gets, the more humble you have to be.
So after all of these years of doing hair, all these years of being a business owner, what inspires you to get up every morning? I mean, what is the motivation to continue to do what you do?
At this point, I'm too deep in to go back. No, for real. It's too, like, this is it. Like, like God gives you this whole window to finish whatever he put on your plate. And so at this point, what inspires me is, to finish strong. That's and I want to see, what God put in me and told me. I want to see it complete. I want to trust him all the way. That is what inspires me to get up every day, because I'm like, God, I know you're going to finish this the way you started it. And he started it when I was 18 years old. And I had a vision when I was 18, and we're still chugging along at it. And he hasn't changed. He hasn't changed. The world has changed, but he has not changed. So in that time, I'm still, still going after what he said in the beginning. So that's what keeps me, because nothing's worse than living this life and you don't have no more power in you. And you look back to the woulda, coulda, shoulda. Would it have been better if I had trusted God the whole time? Like, what would have happened if I would have let God lead me the entire way? And so when it's not looking good, that's like, because when it comes to judgment, I got a feeling he's going to be like, no, you should have did this, you should have did that. So I'm just going to wake up every day and, do what's before me the best that I can.
I know me and you talked a long time ago, and I remember you saying that you get a lot of young women and young men who come to you who are brand new hairstylists, and that your role is to really not only help them understand the business, but also kind of mentor them along in that craft. What does mentorship look like today after all these years of being involved in the business?
Oh, that is a loaded question. But it actually is such, because before the pandemic, everybody used to be like, the millennials, they're this. And that's all I work with now is millennials. And they are the most fascinating group. Then way more. I am impressed. I'm impressed because they come with a lot more. They come with a lot more, like they know more. Like, because let me give you an example. when we went to beauty school to learn to do hair. They go to beauty school to get a certificate. They already know how to do hair. They've already come equipped. They've been doing hair. They got YouTube. They got, so when they're coming out, I'm fascinated because I'm like, now I'm learning. Because they went to school, they learning on, at home or whatever, and then they're going to school. And then in school, they're improving it. So they're coming out. I mean, they still need some work, but they're coming out. I mean, I'm teaching like, what? So this is a good learning phase for me because they are teaching me, and I love it. I love it.
Given the number of people who come through your mentorship, hey, you ever come across somebody where maybe they started out and you said, I don't know about this one right here, but somewhere along the road, they surprised you with how much they learned and listened, and maybe perhaps even some of the things that they ended up doing?
I mean, well, this season that I'm in right now, it's a little different. The season that I was in before, like Kevin, I promise, before the pandemic, because I went through a little, like a reset too. And prior to that, like, everybody did everything for me. Like, I didn't even interview people. They did, the interview process, somebody else did that, or the bookkeeping, the accountant. A lot of people did a lot of stuff, but then God did not want that no more, obviously. So everything shut down, and I had to start from the bottom up. And I had to do everything. Literally, when I went to interview people, like, I had never interviewed anybody. But so prior to that, yes, I did have people who, when they came in, they might, I was surprised at how they turned out, blah, 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 because I didn't have anything to do with the process. But this process, I'm going in, I'm interviewing, I'm telling them my expectations, and they're telling me what they can do. We're negotiating, we're going back and forth. And I've actually been happy with all, everybody that I've hired. So that is what has changed for me. Now, anything prior to 2020 is all a blur. It's a blur because I've learned so much in this past season that if I did have people who changed and switched up, yeah, they should have, because me as a leader, I wasn't standing firm in it.
Well, let me ask you this question, because I know that you're a mom, you're a wife, you're a business owner, you're active in terms of helping other people kind of grow their own business. How do you balance it all?
Well, my first ministry is my husband. That's my first ministry, because, like, when it all boils down to it, like, that's what I got to come home to. Like, so that got to be first. And then my job, the goal, because when I go home, when I'm at work, I'm at work. But when I come home, I don't bring it home. And it could be only because I need to do that for my mental health. Like, I mean, I do constantly, like, going over things in my head or, on the computer. But, like, people at my house, they don't care about Synergi. they don't want to talk about Synergi. They doing their own hair. So I had to realize that Synergi is my world. That's something for me. We're not trying to make this a Synergi family. So that has helped me balance, because then I work between these time frames, and whereas before I didn't. I took it home and I woke up to it, and I took it home and I woke up to it. I do think about it a lot, but it can't be my God, and that's one thing I have to really, bring into perspective too. That
you say that, and I know a lot of people will argue that maybe perhaps, God is a part of it, or maybe perhaps God's not a part of it. But how do you balance faith inside of, doing business as a business owner?
Okay, so at this point, if God don't want me to have it, if I can't get it, He don't want me to have it. Period. Because for so long, I was always wanting the next. Like, it was never the desires or the wants. I was never content. Like, I always, as soon as God fixed something, I was wanting something else. And then it got tired. I'm like, I'm tired. And then he just showed me, like, you have everything you need. Like, what do you do? Like, if you can take what you need and grow this. So then I had to learn, like, you know what? If God wants me to have it, then he'll open up the opportunity. And that helps me so much more with like negotiating because when people like trying to sell me something, they can be, giving me offers that they feel like I can't refuse. But if I got to sign the dotted line and I got to be up all night worrying about it, then, this ain't, yeah, I'll wait.
You know what, Karen? One of the things that I discovered that sometimes as leaders, man, we've had some challenges with, and that is trying to separate the emotions we have, in terms of our relationship with people. Maybe perhaps, families doing business with us, friends are doing business with us. And one of the challenges is what happens when we have to make them hard decisions.
Yeah.
And it's within someone who we have a relationship with. Has there ever been a point where you felt like, okay, I'm about to make a decision that may perhaps cost me a relationship, or I'm about to make a decision that I know might prepare what we're doing, but others might not see what I see?
Is that a question, a statement?
It could be a little bit of both.
Yes.
But how did it play out on your end in terms of your business? I mean, and you've been around for a while. I mean, so quite naturally, you've experienced some level of success. But how did you deal with when you had to make the hard decisions around people who you had close relationships?
It is hard. That is probably one of the hardest things that I don't think people will anticipate, like when it comes to like relationships and business. It is hard doing that. But the one thing is like, I just know that everybody got a plan for their life. Everybody should want everybody got bigger plans for their life. Their life ain't my life. My plans for my life is my plans for my life. So why can't I be mad about somebody who got a plan for their life? Like, you that's your problem, right, not my problem.
One of the things that I get asked about, as a pastor, and that is what happens when someone who's been active in ministry leaves the church. And I would always describe it and say, if they leave based upon God's calling, then we ought to applaud it, get behind it, support it. But if you leave because you in your feelings, that's danger zone.
Yeah.
Have you ever had a stylist or a staff member you felt left too quickly? And that you wanted to actually go, maybe this isn't your season to leave. And how did you respond to maybe perhaps them leaving?
I don't. Anybody that want to leave, let them go. I don't know. Not let them go in a bad way, but like that's not on me. No, there's some people who I miss, and I wish that I miss, but I just believe like the same relationship I got with God. I just assume that they on the same path, that they going after what God. That's just how I look at it. Like if the season is up, then it ain't no fight with me. I want you to do good at what God called you to do. I don't want to be. I ain't gonna be stuck on no unforgiveness, no regret, no no bitterness. Like no, like I always think when people leave, it's because they're searching for something bigger for themselves. I mean, and it could be because of my leadership. And, I do believe that leadership has a lot to do. I do think that people move on because, they want more for their lives. And maybe whatever it is that I was doing, it just wasn't kicking it for them no more.
Right.
Which is okay.
Right.
Which is okay.
No, well, let me ask you this. Now, hair salons are often a place of connection and empowerment. What do you think has been the impact of Synergi on people's lives, even outside of women walking out with a beautiful hair?
So what's impactful now, because I've been doing hair like 30 years, over 30 years. And, when I'm talking to like professionals and, and they're coming in the salon and they're, grown women and they're like, I've been here since I was a little girl. I'm like, oh God. So, and now I'm thinking, wow, like, like this has been like a legend. Like, this is some little girls. Like, I talked to a girl today and she's, doing makeup, and she was telling me that, that I inspired her to do makeup because, I made a comment about her brows when she was a little girl. And I was thinking, instantly I was like, wow, the impact, that you have on young people when they're young, and what we're doing is impressionable for them to see, to be able to see where they're going, what they're doing, however it imparts on their life. So I do think it's, when it comes to beauty, the hair salon, especially Black women, it is a very impressionable place. And you want it to be memorable, and you want it to be like, when you look back on your life, I don't want you to think of this as any bad time. I don't want you to think of this as a good experience. So, yeah.
Now, we talked about you beginning almost when you were about 18 years old, had the job at McDonald's. You launched out and started doing hair. Later on, you opened up your own hair salon. And Synergy has become that place where, again, you said generations are walking through the door. I mean, people bringing their daughters, they're bringing their granddaughters. People have experienced this environment. Let me ask you the $1 million question. What's next for Synergy?
What's next? Oh, yes. So what's next is optimizing our systems, being able to put it in the system to where, I did it long enough to where it should be able to be repeatable. We never looked at hair like that, but that is important, is, automating it, making it to where you shouldn't have to come to me for every little question. Like, I should be able to, you should be able to look it up in the Wikipedia and find the answer, even though I'm there. But I shouldn't have to look over to somebody and say, why is she doing it this way? She should be doing it this way. Why is she doing it this way? She should be doing it this way. So I do believe that the system is laid out enough to where it could be in writing, duplicated, and sold.
Okay. Well, Karen, I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart. You are an inspiration. You are motivation, not only to people who you do hair, but others of us who've watched you evolve. I think that your hair salon place has become a connection, a bedrock of the east side of Columbus, somewhere we know that no matter whether or not we're going in or coming out, it's a place that has created stability. So I want to thank you for coming and sharing your wisdom at the leadership table. But I want to ask this question as we get ready to end our time. What final takeaway would you say you would give to people in terms of, if you were to ask the question of what you want people to remember about your leadership and your purpose? What would you share with them?
I would share with them that, I did the best I could with what I had. And then I trusted God through the process. Like, if you don't have a higher source to trust in, if you don't have like some type of playbook to go by, don't even try to wing it. Don't even try to wing it. Fine. Look, I could vote for Christ. He's the number one for me. He knows me, and because it's not always about money. Not always about power and influence. There's a lot of other stuff that people don't talk about when it comes to, running a business and leadership. And you have to glean that from somewhere else. You got to have find Christ. I ain't gonna say find your higher power. Find Christ, and don't do it without him, because you gonna be not. Ooh. Yeah.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, you heard from Miss Karen Hill, owner of Synergy Hair Salon, someone who is strong in the Columbus community. So if you're looking to get your hair done, whether or not you're female or male,
I have a book too.
You want to make sure you want to get, what's the name of your book?
It's called The Gray Hair Restart.
The Gray Hair Restart. Where can readers
Amazon.
get? Amazon. So search out on Amazon right now. We'll make sure we add that link, man, at the bottom of our show. But Karen, again, I want to say thank you for making time to come out and be a part of the leadership table. Because here at the leadership table, we believe leadership doesn't always come from the boardroom. Sometimes it can be found behind a chair in a conversation and in creating space for others to grow. I'm Dr. Kevin Hairston, and you've been a part of the Leadership Table. Ladies and gentlemen, always remember to keep the faith. Until the next time, God bless.
Boxland Media. Think big.